Hey everybody, this is Zemanon, coach of the Detroit Solgaleo, bringing you our Week 6 matchup in the LDL Evolution League Season 3. We're going up against Lord Z. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Lord Z. It could be Lord XZ. I'm not sure. And the Philadelphia Phantumps. Excuse me. Tripping over myself here. It's hard. got the X in there. Got the Philadelphia Phantumps. The alliteration. But they have actually a pretty good team. And I'll read it off. They are 3-2 currently. We are 2-3. So this is the midway point of the season. I really do want to get a win here, get some good differential, because we're going into the second half of the season. Got to start looking towards hopefully making the playoffs and things like that. But the Phantumps have Latias, Alolan Ninetales, Cobalion, Decidueye, Golisopod, Alolan Golem, Mega Gyarados, Rotom Heat, Crocodile, Snorlax, and Golbat. So something that jumped out right away was Latias, who you can see he did not bring. I was pretty happy about that. I do have 2 fairy types, so I understand why. In my DNC and Sylveon, I understand why he wouldn't want to bring Latias. I was still a little worried about it, though. Alolan Ninetales has a lot of KOs on his team, and it sets up Hail, which wrecks my Pelipper and Swampert. Freeze Dry hits both of them ×4 super effectively. So I really needed, my number one objective in this matchup was to hold off the Rain mode as long as I could, because once Ninetales went down, then I was free to set up Rain and have Swampert start sweeping. Other things, his 2 biggest, attackers, the big threat so far throughout the season for the Phantumps were Crocodile and Snorlax, with 8 and 7 KOs. And Dusclops is finally making it to a battle this season, so you can check it off as the last Pokemon I have not brought to a match. Now Dusclops has made it my tier 5 mon. Because Snorlax was such a big deal to me, I wanted to bring Dusclops as just a complete wall to it. Now, I can't really do anything back to it, but at least I stop it. I can Will-O-Wisp and Pain Split and, try to just see what happens. But luckily for us, he didn't even bring the Snorlax. And thankfully, right before I was building my team, I thought of Crocodile, and I'm like, all right, I can hit it with Close Combat with Zeraora or things like that. And I was like, oh, wait a second. I was like, wait a second. He could be Scarf Crocodile. And, thankfully that popped into my head, because it completely changed my game plan around on what type of speed to use on Zeraora and how much defense I should put into different Pokemon. The Incineroar has a lot more defense this time around, where usually, typically I'd been either very fast or especially defensive. This time, I wanted Incineroar to have some defense going on, and I also want to finally have my Pinchberry activate. I'm 0 for 4 in attempts of, I'm just barely missing it from activating. Or I might have gotten it once, but it actually didn't matter. This time around, I want it to matter. You're going to see that. You're going to see why. But yep, DNC. DNC is my Z move user. Dusclops super bulky. Try to go as bulky as Pelipper can get, even though it's pretty frail. And then Swampert gonna swamp. So let's get into the game here. Let's get into turn 1. So my idea going into this matchup, when I saw these 6, I was relieved there was no Latias and no Snorlax. And then I was like, all right, I want to lead Incineroar against anything on his team, really. Honestly, I could Flare Blitz the Ninetales. I could, do whatever into the Crocodile. Crocodile would have been the worst option for us, but I expected Golisopod as the lead because of first impression. So that's why I wanted to get this Intimidate down, and I wanted to see what kind of bulk he had. So he Aqua Jets because he knows I'd be faster, and I knock off just getting rid of the item, which I knew was going to be the Choice Band. I do get a critical hit, which is nice. I don't think it actually mattered, and we'll see a weird mechanic here on this turn. So I U-turn with Incineroar, and thanks to his ability Emergency Exit, which makes him switch out when he goes below half HP, he gets to switch in Crocodile for free, which is fine. But I don't get to U-turn anymore. And that's very odd, and I haven't really seen that mechanic because I've never really seen Golisopod. But usually when you KO a Pokemon and with a U-turn or a Volt Switch, you still switch out into something else. So this was very odd for me. But yeah, I just digress. I hadn't seen that mechanic work that way before. That was a crit Stone Edge, ladies and gentlemen. And look how little that damage that did to my man Dusclops. That's how bulky he is. So he switches it out because, as we saw, thanks to the Frisk ability, it is Choice Scarf. I got that confirmed. Another reason Dusclops is good for the Frisk. I went for the Will-O-Wisp expecting, I didn't think the Crocodile would stay in, but I was ready for it, and I wanted to Will-O-Wisp whatever came in. Now this Liquidation's not doing really anything. I was expecting going for Liquidation to try to, get the defense drops and things like that. But these 2 Liquidations aren't going to do too much. They're going to bring my Dusclops down to pretty much half of its HP. And Shadow Punch for the KO. Not only does Dusclops make it into the big dance here, but he gets a KO in his first game, so I'm very excited. I love Dusclops and Dusknoir. Like, I love that evolution line, so I was really happy for them to get in. Now, I don't think I lived a knockoff from here. I didn't do the calc, but I would assume I didn't live a knockoff. So I wanted him to scarf himself into knockoff, which is exactly what happens here. So now Crocodile is stuck into knockoff, doesn't knock off anything, does 16 damage? Does 16 damage to the Dancey because I have my Z move here. Now I went for the Stealth Rock here, just a safe play. I knew he was going to switch out because he was locked in. Now this is probably a misplay on my end, but I did want to gauge how much bulk the Crobat had. I wanted to know if it was physical or special. Now, if it was a physical one, as he poisons me, it does land. This Power Gem should have done 40 to 47 if he was fully defense, HP defense. And it does a lot less than that. So I'm like, okay, he's pretty specially defensive here. This was also a mistake on my end. I should have either went for, my power, or I go for a Power Gem. I should have went for Calm Mind, which I have on this set, or I should have switched out into Zeraora there, expecting the Roost. I thought the Roost was going to be pretty obvious there. So that was another poor turn on my end. But at this point, I don't want to rack up any more toxic damage than I need to, because I need Dancey to wall some of the things on his team. Like, when Crocodile is stuck Stone Edging, I need him there. He also resists the blizzards from Elo and Ninetales, stuff like that. I needed Dancey. So obvious switch in, -1, that really doesn't do too much to me. He switches out here. I expected him to switch out, but I totally forgot about Cobalion. This is a great turn from them on the switch out, because I knock off, it gives him the +1 justified boost, and Cobalion is his Z user. We're going to learn later what that Z move is, but that was a really strong play from them. But I go back into Dusclops here, and here's where some Pokemon magic starts happening. I knew he was going to close combat. That's why I went into Dusclops. Frisk shows us he's Psychium Z. I later learned that was for my Nidoking, who I did not bring in this matchup, so it really didn't matter. He Swords Dances, right? So now he's at +3. This is a misplay on my end. I should have immediately went for the the Will-O-Wisp right away. I thought he was going to Iron Head, so I thought I would have been much lower, and that's why I did it. But he goes for Swords Dance. He is +5 Cobalion right now. Like, this is an absolute monster. Will-O-Wisp going to burn it. Nope. He avoids. Will-O-Wisp avoids. Here's a +5 Iron Head into Dusclops. Doesn't even KO. And we get flinched. And of course, I went for Will-O-Wisp that turn. So I had 2 tries to burn this monster, and I was not able to. Now I'm going to intimidate him with my Incineroar, put him down to +4, but I knew he was going to Iron Head here. So I knew I did enough, or I lived a +4 Iron Head. Look at that. Look at that. Right there. If he was +5, I would have been knocked up, but I calced it. I lived a +4, and it gave me enough to eat my berry. So finally, all right, we're able to get that berry activation and go up to even higher HP than we were at. And now I'm just going to sack off the Dusclops here. He close combats, which is obviously immune, but I knew even after switching it in, the Iron Head would get me. So Dusclops does go down, but he did more than enough. He also kind of stunk the bed up. Stunk the place up by missing Will-O-Wisp and then getting flinched from Iron Head. It honestly probably would have changed some things here. I knew he was going to switch out here, though, because of the pending close combat into it. So as he comes in, I decide I still went for the close combat. I don't know why. Maybe expecting Crocodile to come in. That was also probably a bad turn on my end. I should have went for Plasma Fist or a knockoff or something. Here I thought he was going to switch it out. I thought he was going to switch out Crocodile or switch in Crocodile because I would Plasma Fist. So he'd be in at full HP, and he has a Scarf, and he can Scarf EQ and knock me out, right? But he doesn't. He just sacks off the He just sacks off the Toxapex. Like, so, I should have just went for the Plasma Fist because I wouldn't have taken any of that damage from my -1 defense Brave Bird or whatever. So, unfortunately, we don't get the knockout on the Golbat. That is, I guess he like knocks himself out passively from Brave Bird. So obviously, the Crocodile comes in. It's gonna want to hit my Zeraora, and he makes a nice prediction here. As I bring in the Pelipper, he goes for Stone Edge, which is a nice call on his end. He knew Stone Edge would be enough to KO the Zeraora anyway, probably. He could also get the crit, but he also couldn't miss. So that was risky, but it was a smart call on his end because it worked out. Brought my Pelipper down pretty low. Now, obvious switching, as I was mentioning earlier, if he's locked into Stone Edge, I just go into Diancie the whole time. I think Toxic is going to end up doing more damage than the Stone Edge because of my resistance to it. Now I go for the Z move because I know Diancie is not going to stick around long enough anymore. So I need to get my Z move off as quick as I can. We get the nice Stealth Rocks. Now Hail is up, which is great for us because that means when Pelipper comes back in, we're going to have the Rain up. I did not think this was going to knock out. It was nice to have the Stealth Rocks because that did like 25% more damage. You can kind of look at it like doing... it brings him down to like 5%. So you can look at this turn as in like I did 95% damage with the Z move. Not actually, but you know what I'm saying. It brings the Ninetales super low. Take a little Hail and Toxic. And this was I think the wrong choice on his end, because he goes for Freeze Dry. And Freeze Dry does not knock me out. And I'm not very specially bulky. So that was interesting that I was able to live that hit. It didn't matter because whatever I brought in next, I would just be able to knock it out, right? Like I could bring in Pelipper and get the Rain up or something like that. And then we go down to Poison. So Golbat actually getting a couple of knockouts here. Gonna get rid of the Ninetales and then my Zeraora as well, as they both went down on that turn. So now, boom, in comes the Pelipper here. We get the Rain up. Rain is up for the rest of the game now. There's no chance of Hail. And I actually kind of want at some point Pelipper to go down here. But thanks to our defensive bulk that we invested this week, we live the Iron Head. We don't get flinched. Scald comes in the Rain and knocks out the Cobalion. So Pelipper getting another knockout here. I think that's its 5th knockout this season. So as I get rid of Cobalion here, in comes the Decidueye, and he's just going to go for the Shadow Sneak, but honestly, he was faster anyway, so whatever move he wanted to go for would have been enough to knock us out. So Pelipper goes down. I now have 3 turns left of the Rain. Oh, I forgot about Diancie. Sorry about that. I gotta get rid of Diancie, and Zeraora did not get knocked out. Zeraora actually stays around this whole time, so don't listen to that. Zeraora is still here. We're up 3 versus 2 right now, and he brings in Decidueye. This turn won me the game because I knocked off, and I knew he was switching out into Crocodile. I knew he would not take the knockoff on Decidueye because my knockoff from that range knocked out Decidueye. So even though I'm intimidated, I knock off his Choice Scarf. And this is huge because it lets Swampert and Zeraora outspeed. Swampert, if Rain goes down, he'll outspeed, or Rain, yeah. Or with Rain up, Swampert outspeeds, and then when Zeraora comes in, I can knock it out with a close combat from this range. Of course, he knocks me out here. My Incineroar, that's fine. Incineroar goes down. In comes my Swampert. I have 2 turns left. You're going to see this. Okay. So, I didn't know what he was going to do. I went for Waterfall on this turn because I needed to take advantage of Rain while it was up. Even though Ice Punch does more to Decidueye, and I expected Decidueye to switch in on this turn, I wanted to take advantage of water while it was up because it did more damage because, water attacks have boosted base power or whatever while they're up. Look how close we get. That's a critical hit, and I actually talked to my opponent after the game. That crit actually did not matter, because as you're going to see, he's leftovers and slow, and I'm max speed Swampert. So I outsped, which what could have been a speed tie, which it wasn't. So the crit didn't matter, because Waterfall, Ice Punch, so any 2 attacks knocked out the Decidueye on the switch-in. So now it's 2 versus 1. I'm feeling really good about myself. It is a full health Swampert, even though the rain is down. I'm at -1. Waterfall is enough to knock it out from this range. Earthquake is not enough to take down the Swampert. And Mega Swampert comes in clutch in the end right here with that Waterfall knockout, getting 2 knockouts. And we are back in the victory column. We are 3-3 on the season, with a 2-0 victory over the Philadelphia Phantumps. And that was a really fun set. My opponent made a lot of really nice plays, like stone edging when I brought the Pelipper in because I thought he was going to Earthquake, or going for, letting his Golbat stay in, or swords dancing on his Cobalion. That matchup was really scary. Things that really swayed it. One, Snorlax not coming. That was nice for me. Missing Will-O-Wisp and then getting flinched and not being able to try to attempt my Will-O-Wisp were huge. I think, honestly, that would have changed differential even more. That's just my opinion, obviously, on it. But I really think that did end up changing a lot in the matchup that I had to go around. But yeah, I think, DNC was great. Being able to live the freeze dry at such low HP, it didn't change anything, but it was still nice for DNC to get the knockout there for the leaderboards and everything. So I'm feeling pretty happy. I don't know, I might have to make some adjustments for some of my team, like Machamp or Excelgor. I'm not really sure how I feel about them on the team, so I might make some changes to the squad. I'm not sure yet. If you have any suggestions, please let me know, because we gotta get serious now that we're in the back half. We're going downhill. We have 6 more matches. We're 3-3. I even forget our differential. I think my differential is pretty close to 0. Maybe it's 2 or 3 or something. 2, 3, or 4. I forget what my differential is. So, whatever I can do to improve in the second half is really what I'm going for. But with that, we will end the episode here. Thank you so much for watching with me. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment on some Pokemon suggestions in tier 3 or tier 4 you think I should try to go after to improve my team. But for now, we will see you next time. This is Zemanon and the Detroit Solgaleo signing off.